Hey Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I am gonna do things in reverse order of the way I would normally do. I have a little life update for you. I have some other books that I am reading right now for different events, but I'm just gonna start off with the big one, which is the book I finished this week, Daddy Longlegs and Dear Enemy by Webster. Now these are two different books. There's some overlapping characters between the two, but both are told in the form of letters. Daddy Longlegs I had seen a film adaptation of a very, very long time ago, and there could be potentially, maybe some people might object to one key component to Daddy Longlegs. I don't want to spoil that, okay? So I'm not gonna go into that. But we have to talk about Dear Enemy because I know some of you love Dear Enemy, and I was so prepared. I was sure that when I got done with this book, I was gonna be talking to you and talk about how much I loved these, how they were reminded to me of Betsy Tacy and Anne of Green Gables. I mean, orphans or an orphan feature prominently in both of these books, and we love stories about orphans. Let's face it, think about how many books in your life you have read about an orphan or a group of orphans. There's a lot out there. So Dear Enemy is the story of a young woman. She's recently graduated from college and she's asked to be the superintendent of an orphan asylum. Now, this book was published, or Dear Enemy was published in 1915. So it is always really important to keep the time. Dear Enemy was such a gut punch to me. So this young woman comes in to take over the orphan asylum, and you have to, again, we have to keep the time in mind. Like, child labor is still going on. The young main character of Dear Enemy, I mean, she doesn't like it when people come in right before things really start to get going on a farm, and they say that, oh, they want to adopt an older boy to come live with them on their farm, and then after the harvest is over, they bring them back and are like, no, it wasn't a good fit, it didn't work out. They basically just wanted free labor, right? And orphans are generally looked upon like, you know, like they don't need it, you know, they don't need anything, they don't deserve anything, and the main character, to her credit, really does want to bring some sunshine into their lives, and to believe that there is the possibility that she can make a difference in the lives of her 133 orphans. That's not always what the number is, but that's just the number she always uses. So, like I said, I was really shocked. And I think it's because it's just so personal to me. So the first time epilepsy, which I have, comes up in the book. She's, of course, this is in a letter. 5 other children have been sent to their proper institutions. One of them is deaf, which I get. Okay, so a deaf person like needs to go someplace where they can learn American Sign Language, you know, like sign language. And I mean, you would be totally cut off. No one would know how to communicate with that child. I'm not sure institution is maybe that's an unfortunate term, because it does bring up a lot of things. So one of them is deaf, one an epileptic, and the other 3 approaching idiocy, which was kind of like, what does approaching idiocy mean? What does that mean, Gene Webster? And honestly, okay, so I was like, I was a little surprised. Wasn't expecting to see me myself in the pages of this book. And I do know about these institutions that people with epilepsy were often sent to, and as you can imagine, like many institutions, they were not healthy or happy places. One of the things, though, that really hurts me about this book is that a lot of children have epilepsy and they grow out of it. It's not true, unfortunately, for all of them, but it does happen. And the truth is, 1 in 10 people are going to have a seizure at some time in their life. Just a fact. Maybe not a fact Gene Webster was aware of in talking about this. The next time, this was so shocking to me. She's talking about feeble-minded people, or feeble-minded orphans, I guess in this case, but feeble-mindedness. And I don't know exactly what that means in Gene Webster's mind, but so the main character writes, our prisons are 1/3 full of feeble-minded convicts. Society ought to segregate them on feeble-minded farms where they can earn their living in peaceful menial pursuits and not have children. Then, in a generation or so, we might be able to wipe them out. And I was just like, genocide? Like, it's kind of what it sounds like, right? And just because someone's feeble-minded does not diminish their humanity. It, like, I mean, I was flabbergasted. I was flabbergasted by that. Then later in the book, I'll explain the tea later. But so later on, she's writing to the doctor of the orphan asylum, and she's having a dinner party, and so she asks him specifically not to mention insanity or epilepsy or alcoholism. I was like, wow. Like, the idea that, and I think for me, it was just so weird to see, and I've worked in substance abuse prevention, so I have, I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I do know a little bit about it, and I've been to an AA meeting, and I've been to an NA meeting, just like, I barely made it out of those meetings without just bursting into tears. The stories that people had to say were just so heartbreaking. But to like lump people with epilepsy into these other, with alongside insanity and alcoholism, yeah, it was just shocking. It was so shocking to me that someone would think that. And again, like, I'm not trying to say, like, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who think I'm insane, but I don't know, like, it was just shocking, and it was so personal. It was so personal to me. And then finally, yeah, so now she's writing about the doctor, and she said, I made him sit down and have some tea, and we had a nice, cheerful talk on drunkenness and idiocy and epilepsy and insanity. I don't want to make, I don't want anyone to misunderstand me. I am not telling you that you can't enjoy these books and that you can't appreciate them. I don't want these books to be banned. I don't want them to be censored and edited. That is not what I'm saying. I am just saying I was floored, and it was just a really personal, it was so personal to me because I've had epilepsy for 16 years. They think I've had it all my life. It didn't emerge until after I had an operation. So bummed. I mean, look at that darling cover. It's just, I was so disappointed. It's a Penguin classic. Rarely will you hear me say on any book that's a Penguin classic, I'd like to get rid of this book. Like, I really don't want it to be part of the library. Jason did buy me this book. I wanted it because I really thought the Daddy Longlegs story was charming, and it is charming. Like I said, there's maybe one issue that some people might struggle with a little bit, but Dear Enemy, and I understand, like, this woman's trying to make things better overall for these children. This is my first middle grade March book, and it can only get better from here, I think. So, and please feel free to tell me if these are special books to you in the comment section. I don't want it. I'm not here to, I'm not here to tell you what to read or to tell you what to think. I'm just telling you what I think. And again, it's very specific to me. So that's the book I finished this week. Now, on to the books I am reading. Because at one point this week, I was reading 4 books. And one of my Booktube friends was like, what has happened to you? So next week, we're going to talk about Empathy by Roman Krznaric. That'll be another interesting discussion. Have major problems with that book. Then for the Irish Readathon. So I don't know why it's called Best Ghost Stories. That's a really deceiving title. But Best Ghost Stories by Joseph Sheridan LeFanu, who I only recently learned was Irish. I don't know why I didn't know that. But anyway. And so I read 2 stories, or finished 2 stories since last chatting with you. I read Squire Toby's Will, which is the first short story in this collection. This ancient, I think this was published in 1964. Yeah. And I will be honest, like, this was kind of a book that I was like, I'm going to read the stories in this, and then I'm going to put it in a little free library somewhere. But they're really good. Anyway, so I specifically wanted to read an Irish one. So I read The White Cat of... Here we go, you guys. The White Cat of Drumgunnall. You guys can help me out. Tell me how to say that. It does take place in Ireland. And again, it was a really creepy story. Like, it was just, I am very impressed. So I'm excited to read more. I'm really trying to fish out the Irish ones, or the ones that take place in Ireland. Toby's Will did not take place in Ireland. One of the things in searching, so then I'm thinking there's got to be a Penguin classic of this, right? Or a Penguin classic of his stories, right? Something other than a 1964 Dover edition. I got on Amazon, and yeah, I found out, like, these stories were not published outside of Ireland, or at least not in a collected version, for ages. It was like a ridiculous amount of time. So if anyone can explain that to me, I would love to know, because I find that really surprising. Finally, the last book that I am currently reading. I need to give it a better bookmark, but This is for middle grade March and March Mystery Madness. And this is Tru Nelle by Neri. It is an imaginary story about Truman Capote and Lee Harper as children. And they are reading all of these mystery stories. They're reading Sherlock Holmes, and they want to find a real mystery to solve. I need to look, but I think there might even be another one of these out there. So this was part of my moment last year when I lost my mind, and I won an eBay gift certificate, and so this was one of the things I got. So I've never read this before. I'm very excited to spend a little more time with it. Okay, so life update. The last time, well, not the last time I talked to you, but last Friday or Saturday, I was thinking that I was going to be spending this entire week with my family. I was very excited about it. We had snow, and then Jason started feeling not so great. And by Monday, we found out he had pneumonia, which I was completely not expecting. So Jason has been incredibly sick this week, and pneumonia is just not something to be messed around with. And so I stayed home for the first part of the week. I'm gonna send some love over to Jason on his channel, Old Blues Chapter and Verse, or if you just want to think good thoughts for him, if you pray, you can say a little prayer for him. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear from you in the comment section about what you are reading, or if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I have mentioned. And yeah, I love engaging with you in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji. Or you can give this video a thumbs up as a way of saying hello. So that does mean a lot to me. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will be back with another video hopefully soon. Bye.